welcome to Games' Lit Musings, which apparently is also about news. I honestly hadn't quite expected this, but, I figured that this would just be about when a game did something that interested me, but I suppose it could also be just about thoughts on stuff that's happening in the industry, because I really just kind of wanted to talk about this and, get this out there. So, Telltale is making a Minecraft game. That's a thing. Honestly, it weirds me out a little bit, and that's not I'm not the only one having that reaction. A lot of the reaction to this news is just kind of like, what? How is Telltale a company that takes, really intense story-based properties and makes really compelling, equally story-based games out of them, making a Minecraft game? It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it'll be presumably in the same, or at least a very similar style as Telltale's other games. And we know that they're working with Mojang themselves, as well as a lot of players. I'm guessing they're going to have some people, create the environments within Minecraft or something like that. I don't know. We don't know much at the moment. Okay, firstly, this is weird, simply because Telltale's style and Minecraft are two polar opposites, right? Telltale forsakes gameplay in favor of story, or not forsakes gameplay. Gameplay exists to serve the story entirely in Telltale games, and it all centers around the story. It's dialogue, it's choices, stuff like that. And by the way, no, I had not planned on talking about Telltale for the first 2 episodes of Musings, but I guess it happens. Minecraft, on the other hand, is about absolute freedom, right? You're put in a randomly generated world, so it's different every time you play, and you're going to do whatever you want, build what you want, dig around, or do whatever. Some people look at it as basically a glorified video game Lego, but that's really not entirely accurate. It has creative mode that is basically that. You have a whole bunch of different types of pieces and can create whatever you want. But survival mode is very, very different, and that's why I actually think this could work. And not only that, but I'm actually very excited to see what they come up with. For those not very familiar with Minecraft, survival mode is where it puts you in a randomly generated world, just like creative mode, but instead of being able to just build whatever you want, it's actually a challenge. You have health, and you need to gather any resources that you need to make anything. So you can't build that crazy awesome castle until you actually go mining for a long time and get all the stone that you need to do so. You can't create that fancy trap, to catch all the creepers before they get into your house or something until you actually find all the stuff you need to make mechanisms and make it work, So, survival mode is very much about stories. Not in the same way that we usually talk about on Games' Lit, but it's about your story, what you do, and the stories that you create by your own actions. This is what we call emergent narrative, which I will talk about later in the show. So, essentially what Telltale is going to do here, it seems, is have their own Minecraft story and tell that story in Telltale's signature way of telling stories. Which is a perfectly legitimate idea. I mean, any of us who have played Minecraft on survival mode, I'm sure, have some interesting stories about fun things that happened, or shenanigans we got up to when playing with friends, or even just weird things like, that one time we spawned in a world that was just one tiny island, and we stood up to the challenge and survived, and, all these different things that happen. So, that's kind of why I think it could work, but why I'm excited, not just, thinking it might work, but excited. And another thing I'm going to talk about later on in this series, this medium has all too few quality children's stories. There just really aren't any. There are a bunch of great games available for children, but, I mean, when it comes down to it, if I'm going to have my kid, read a really good children's book like a Harry Potter or something, and then play Super Mario Galaxy, narratively speaking, they're not going to get anything out of Mario Galaxy. There's admittedly a bit more of a narrative in that one probably than most Mario games, but still, point being, things like Mario and Crash Bandicoot, all these games we have that are great and kid-friendly, but aren't actually a strong narrative at all. We have a weird and confusing complete lack of quality children's stories in this medium. And you know what? Telltale now has the rights to a game that has largely defined a generation of gamers, which is exciting in a lot of ways. So all of these kids who grew up on Minecraft are now going to be interested in this game that is entirely narrative-centric. Now, Telltale could, of course, make a relatively mature Minecraft game. It's possible, but I don't really see a reason for that to be. At this moment, I would imagine that they would make the game E or E10, probably E10, so they can at least have some difficult thematic stuff in there. But man, we have handed Telltale the ability to take one of the most beloved and formative works of this young generation and make a compelling interactive story out of it. That could be huge. Like, that's really exciting to me if it turns out that way. So, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. But I definitely think that the concept makes enough sense that it can work. And the idea of giving Minecraft, such an important work for today's younger generation, into the hands of Telltale to tell a story is actually really exciting to me if they do it in a child-friendly manner, in a way that kids can actually play the game and appreciate it and get something out of it. So that's essentially where I stand on this. It'll be interesting to see where this actually goes, and I guess I'll probably do another Musings on it at some other point when they announce more information or the game comes out or something. But in any case, that's what's going on there. So tune in on Monday for the episode about Christmas games, and I'll see you later.